Hello, today I'm going to review the debut album from Natas, Life After Death, released in 1992. Apologies for the glare; it's not very good. This is the original 1992 pressing. Um, it got reissued in 2000 with the rest of the Natas catalog, along with most of Esham stuff. There's slight differences on the cover. Like on the reissue, this is embossed, and it's like a grey color, and the life after death bit is a bit bigger, and yeah, well, that's about it really. Here's what the disc looks like. Pretty simple. Let me rotate that around. Pretty similar, just the same as the front cover, more or less, same picture. Um, just for those that don't know, that's Esham in the middle. That's TNT on the left. Rest in peace to him. And that's Mastermind on the right. Um, yeah, there's no artwork or anything inside. It's just white, which is a bit disappointing. And yeah, here's what the back looks like. Another picture with the three of them. Whoops, did that the wrong way around. Here's another picture of the three of them. And yeah, this is a pretty long album, so I'll be here for a while. For those who don't know, right, Natas were the group. You know, basically the leader of the group was Esham, who I've mentioned before on this channel. I did his new EP collection review, and yeah, he was basically the leader of the group. He did all the beats, and he kind of directed the other two guys as far as what direction the music was going and so forth. But in 1992, Esham was busy. Like he had already done both Judgment Day Volume One and Volume Two, and so on this album, he actually doesn't play as big of a role as far as rapping and stuff like that goes. I think he goes sort of more behind the scenes and sort of lets TNT and Mastermind sort of you know show off their skills. The actual group started in the early 90s. Esham and TNT were childhood friends, and they just sort of got together. But TNT, as far as I've understood, he didn't really want to get into rapping. He was more, it was one of those things where Esham needed to convince TNT that he can do this. And while on the other hand, Mastermind, he actually caught wind that Esham was putting together a group, and he sent a demo tape to Esham, and the rest is history. So that's how the group got together, and a little bit of the backstory. With this album, Life After Death, there was some controversy surrounding this album, not when it first came out, but a couple of years later, in 1994. A teenager, I think he was 17, he killed himself while listening to this album. And obviously that's terrible, but obviously it has nothing to do with the music. It's more, that's what that guy wanted to do. But of course, the media sort of made a little bit of a thing about it, and you can actually see a news report in the Esham documentary. I wouldn't call it a documentary. It's more of a compilation of random footage. The Death of an Indie Label thing that he put on YouTube about 5 years ago. There's a news report on there where they talk about how someone killed themselves while listening to this album. Pretty tragic, but yeah, just that's kind of one of two moments, moments of fame for this group, unfortunately, because they're very underground and very underrated. Um, so I'm just gonna go through the album and sort of talk about. Well, I'm going to talk about it generally first, and then I'll break down some of the tracks. I like this album, but I don't think it's that great. I think they improved a lot with subsequent releases. One of the big problems, well, there's a number of problems that I have with this album. One of the problems I have is that it's just far too long. It's 20 tracks long, and the overall running time is about 75 minutes. That's a long time, and one of the reasons why that's a problem is because the songs aren't they don't really stand out that much after a while. They all kind of blend together for me. Um, the individual beats aren't that memorable, and I don't know, it just kind of all blends together for me after a while. It's not as memorable as some of the other stuff that they went on to do, and some of the other stuff that Esham had already did. Um, so that's one problem. Another problem is that there are only three tracks out of 20 that feature all three of the members. I think that's pretty shit. So most of the songs are actually just like individual like solo tracks. With Mastermind pretty much dominating the album. TNT has quite a lot. He has about four, I think, but Mastermind does a lot of them, and Ishan does two solo tracks. And there's a couple. There's two tracks I believe where it's just Mastermind and Isham, and yeah, so I think that's kind of lame. I don't think it's very. They should have maybe distributed the members out more evenly across the album and had more songs with all three of the members on it, because you kind of pick up a group. Well, for me personally, you would kind of expect them to sort of work together a wee bit more and sort of rap together more often. But that's just not the case in this album. But that's one of the things they corrected with later releases. So I'm just gonna, despite all that, I do enjoy this album. It does have a number of good tracks on it. Track one, "Life After Death," title track. You heard that earlier. That song is probably the most well-known song off the album. It's pretty memorable, creepy beat. Like this is when Isham was really getting into making really grungy, grimy kind of beats and stuff like that. Like he's got very good at making sort of like an unsettling atmosphere in his albums, and that's what he does in Life After Death. And yeah, in the lyrics, talking about life after death. Which one do you choose? From my point of view, I ain't got shit to lose. That's what those were the lyrics that were cited in that news report that I mentioned earlier. It's worth mentioning that throughout like a lot of this album, there are loads of Beastie Boys samples, just absolutely covered in Beastie Boys samples. I just thought I'd mention that because they must have been like a big influence on these guys at the time. But I wish more of that influence really carried over as far as like the interplay between all three of the members. One of the good things about that first track, "Life After Death," is the fact that it's all three members kind of going in and after each other. Isham will do a couple of lines, TNT will do a couple of lines, Mastermind will do a couple of lines, and it's really good interplay. But the rest of the songs don't really do that, so I just kind of wish there were more songs like that on the album. Um, skip. Track two, "Did It Like That." That's a TNT solo song. I don't really like that. That's just kind of a mindless kind of sex track. I'm not really a fan of that. Track three, "Dance." That's an Isham solo song, and it's a fantastic song. That's a really good song. Really good sort of almost groovy kind of beat to it. Yeah, very good song. I like that a lot. Um, Track four, "Toss Up." That's another sex song, but at least it has all three of the members on it, so we have to make the most make the most out of that because there aren't many songs on here that have that. Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of that. But that's another one of the main problems with this album. There's just loads of sex songs, and it's not really what you would expect, from the scary looking album cover and the name and the logo and everything. It's like you would expect more sort of darker occult kind of raps, but that's not really what you get on this album at all. Actually, it's more of a gangster rap kind of with gangster rap mixed with like sex track kind of album. That's okay. It's just not really what I expected when I first listened to it anyway. But again, they went more in that direction with future releases. Track five, "Bitch Stop Lying." That samples NWA from Gangsta Gangsta, I believe. Yeah. Um, Decent song. Yeah, pretty upbeat, pretty good. That's a TNT solo song. "Bad Guys Never Lose," track six. That's okay. Whatever. Um, that's a Mastermind solo track. "One Time for Your Mind," another Mastermind solo track. A lot of these songs are just okay for me. Like they're not bad, but I'm just kind of like, eh. So yeah, generally, "One Time for Your Mind," okay. "Get My Head Together," that's an Isham solo song. But I think that's kind of lackluster by his standards. You can tell if he just kind of freestyle that together in the studio, but I don't know, didn't really work for me. Considering around that time his lyrics were really strong on Judgment Day Volume 1 and Volume 2. And he was working on the "Kill the Fetus" album, which again has a lot of his best lyrics on it. Like that's kind of lackluster by his standard, I think. Not a bad song, no. It's got a good beat and stuff on it. Track nine, "Hellraiser." That's a good song. Mastermind solo song. It's good. Bitches on my mind with Mastermind. That's very good as well. Very upbeat and shows off what he can do on the mic. It's actually very good. Mysterious Ways that has Mastermind and Isham on it. It samples Beastie Boys "Shake Your Rump," you know, out there, but where it goes, you know what I mean, the hook. I can't really mimic it here. Rocket Deadly, that's another Mastermind solo track. No, yeah, it's decent. Sorry. Who Am I? It's a TNT solo song. Don't like that. Not a fan. Spent My Last on a Hoe, track number 14. Even though that's a sex song, I actually really like that song, and it has all four of the members. And yeah, it's got like a good sleazy beat to it, and it just works well with the lyrics. I think that's a good song. I like that. Um, Track 15, Bitch You Can't Have Me. That's a TNT solo song. Yeah, it's alright. Track 16, Home of the Brave, with Mastermind. Pretty decent, not bad. 17, Dirty Mind. It's alright. Track 18, I Ain't Got Shit to Lose. That's the TNT solo song. That's the song that's playing right now. It's okay. It's just not really what you would. It just doesn't really fit that well on the album because it's kind of like a more conscious, kind of like bummed out kind of song. It just doesn't really fit that well. 19, In the Name of RLP. I think that's a Mastermind solo track. Oh yeah, it's alright again. And track 20, Dancing on Your Groove with Mastermind and Isham. Yeah, pretty good. It's got a good Isham verse on it. So, you know, I'm not a big fan of this album. I think it's decent. It's got some very good songs on it. Dance is great. Bitches on Mine's great. Hellraiser's great. Mysterious Ways is good. Spent My Last on a Hoe. Those are all good songs. I like those songs. Life After Death as well. But the rest of it's just kind of okay for the most part, and you know, it's fine. But I think they made much better music later on. So that's kind of my review of the album. If anyone has heard it, be sure to leave me what you think, and I'll see you guys next time.